The San Antonio Spurs defeated the New York Knicks 134 to 132. And I have to say, as a Spurs fan, this game was was almost heartbreaking for me in the sense that Victor gets hurt in the fourth quarter. It looks like it could be a season-ending injury, the way he's holding his knee. But I had some optimism when he got up and he was able to walk back to the locker room on his own will, that it may not be as bad as I thought it was. But that was the moment where my heart sunk. I was like, shit, this is gonna ruin the rest of the season. But the injury doesn't appear to be serious from what I've heard, but I'll touch on that later on in this video. This game was just a really weird game from start to finish. If you look at even the statistics, both teams are pretty much even in shooting percentages. The Spurs shot 49% from the field. Knicks shot 48% from the field. Knicks actually shot better from three, shooting 42 from three, and Spurs shot only 37. And then you look at just turnovers. Both teams did a good job of not really turning the ball over. The Knicks had 10 turnovers. Spurs had 11 turnovers. They both had 7 steals. Knicks had 2 blocks, while the Spurs had 3 blocks. It was just very close all across the board. The only thing the Spurs did better, I felt, is they got to the free throw line more times than the Knicks did in this game. They shot 40 free throws versus the Knicks shot only 20 free throws. So they shot twice as much. That was really the huge factor in this game. There were a few other factors, but this game really looked like a game the Knicks were going to win from the start, the way they controlled it. They went up by like 11 or 12 in the first quarter, and it looked like they were just never going to look back. And then in the second quarter, they also outplayed the Spurs. At one point in time, I think the Spurs were down by like 19 points in this game. So it's like the Knicks controlled the whole entire game. And then you look at the guys who played well for the Spurs. Victor, prior to getting hurt in the fourth quarter, he had 31 points, 10 of 12 shooting, and he was on pace to get like a 40-point game up until he got hurt. So that was the only, I would say, negative thing about his game tonight, just getting injured. But prior to getting hurt, he was playing pretty good. One thing I would say prior to him getting hurt that I find disturbing, that since Victor's been a starter these last 3 games, whenever he's on the court with the Spurs, they don't really take the lead. It's like the other team has figured out how to outscore the Spurs while Victor's on the court. They do it by ramping up on their three-point shooting. I felt in all these games, Utah, Cleveland, and then the Knicks, they were just hitting threes left and right. They figured out how to do it that, like I said, that whenever you do that, you have a really good chance at defeating the Spurs, that you can just take them out of their rhythm. You can force them into a three-point shooting contest, and the Spurs tend to fall prey to that, in which they will lose most of the time because they're not a good three-point shooting team. So if you speed up the game by just launching a bunch of threes, you have a shot at beating the Spurs. I think that is their Achilles heel, and it really sucks. I would also say the three-point defense the Spurs have been playing is not good. Knicks shot 42% from the field from this game from 3. And it's one of those things Spurs have to get better at defending the three-point line. I can't stress that enough. It's very frustrating. So that's one way you can hurt the Spurs. And I think this year, most of their losses have been to great three-point shooting teams. So that's a weakness. I don't know how they fix it, but something they have to do. But going back to this game, it looked like the Knicks really had momentum in the fourth quarter, especially when Victor got hurt. He got hurt when trying to get a rebound. I think he got the rebound, and then he was in pain. He was holding his knee. He was on the ground. Then he gets up, and he limps to the bench, and he then just runs to the locker room. And, it looked bad. So I was still optimistic, though, when that happened, only because he was able to walk off on his own will without anybody helping him. To me, that's usually a good sign, whereas when Jokic got hurt, he wasn't able to even get off the ground without people helping him, but Victor was able to do that. But going back to the game, Victor gets hurt and and it looks like the Spurs are going to quit. It got pretty bad that the Knicks at one point in time they go up 110-99 after the Victor injury, and it just looks like this game is over. Spurs are down by 11 with 8 minutes left. Then Julian Chapenny just goes off. He hits two threes in a row, which cuts the lead down to five. And after that, it was like a jolt of electricity inside the Spurs that just sparked them to come back. That from that point on, the Spurs competed and they just didn't give up. They were relentless. So I would say Julian Chapenny really was the player of the game. This guy had the best game of his career. He shot he shot 12, no, not 12. I meant to say 11 of 17 from three, which is insane because even in this NBA, current NBA, most guys don't ever have a game in their career where they shoot more, where they make more than 10 threes. It happens with like great all-time shooters like Curry and Clay, but for most guys, they never get to hit that many threes in a game. And believe it or not, back in the day during the early 90s, I mean, for most of the 90s, the record was 10 threes. So that shows you how great of a shooting night Shapenny had. And he was the reason why the Spurs won the game, player of the game. But the other guys who stepped up in that fourth quarter, De'Aaron Fox, he started pushing the tempo, getting easy buckets. He finished with 26 points. And yeah, it was him and Julian Chapenny that spurred on the win. Also, Keldon Johnson off the bench in the fourth quarter was big. He had 19 points. Those guys really got the win in this game, so you got to give them credit for hustling. I would also say another big factor in this win was that they were able to get Cat to foul out of the game in the fourth quarter. He fouled out. He did commit some dumb fouls, I have to say. And who's the other guy who fouled out? Yeah, Miles McBride, also known as Deuce McBride, fouled out. He had a great game, 21 points. He looked like Ray Allen out there, the way he was hitting his threes. And I think that was a huge one too, him fouling out. Actually, no, that's my mistake. It wasn't him. It was Jordan Clarkson. I mixed him up with Clarkson. Clarkson also had a great game. He had 20 points, and he ended up falling out. He was shooting 4 of 6 from three. That to me was another huge player who fouled out of the game because he was playing so well. So you take Cat and him off the court, that's 40 points combined for his game that are taken away, in which they had potential to score even more. So I think that was big. Plus, Brunson started to shoot poorly in this game later on in the fourth. Granted, he did hit some clutch shots, but all in all, it looks like the Spurs were lucky to avoid a serious injury to Victor. He didn't look seriously hurt to me once he came back on the bench to cheer on the team. He looked happy. He looked positive, and he looked like he was walking fine while he was standing up at times cheering for the team. And then after the game, he looked happy walking around, and he did the drum celebration with his teammates. So I'm likely to believe this is not a significant knee injury. If it was, I don't think the Spurs medical staff would have let him return to the game to be with his team. I just don't see that happening. And Shams Charania just reported recently about this injury that it was a slight hyperextension, and the original tests on his knee show a negative report, which means that they didn't find any damage. Maybe they'll do an MRI tomorrow, but I don't think he tore his ACL. Just to me, whenever someone suffered that type of injury, they cannot walk it off like that or walk back to the bench. So I think he's going to be okay, but the Spurs are super cautious. It wouldn't surprise me if he's out for a week or two. They don't want to take that chance. So that's all I have to say.